Listening. People that haven't been here before, obviously we run this every Tuesday. This is part of Ministry of Awesome, one of the events we do. And we're always looking for new people to present. So we're going to have two presenters today, an educational one second, and a business sort of one first. But it can be anything. If you've got a topic on a non-profit, a social enterprise, something you've learnt, feel free to talk to us. Just really something you want to share with the group. We're willing to discuss that with you. And it's not scary. It's only 5-6 minutes, and we'll give you a bit of help and provide the coffee and jam as well. So again, we can't do this without our sponsors. So we've got Canterbury Community Trust, Kiwi Bank, Trade Staff, Broadfield Mushrooms, I don't think he's here today, Above the Line Underground Coffee, and BNZ and Epic, with Wendy helping out with everything with the venue, which is just amazing actually, because if you realise it's really hard to do events like this without a location as central and as organised as the BNZ Lounge, so really appreciate it. So I'm not going to take too much time. Just to remind you, at the end of the two presentations, we do have a time for you to stand up and just ask questions of the group, or to present information about something that's going on. Like obviously I'm talking about Startup Weekend every week now, we've got 8 weeks to go. If you've got an idea of something that's going on that you're involved in, you want to tell the group, if you can do that at the end, that'd be great. Just keep it short, because sometimes we have a lot of them, but willing to share that with the group. So we're going to go straight into Scott's presentation. Welcome on, Scott.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Hey, thanks for... Oh, God, that's great. Thanks for coming along. I've got 6 minutes, which I now realise after the pitch practice is a tremendously short period of time. So
5.5 now.
5.5, cool. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about LineWise. So essentially our byline is Tame Your Internet. So what is LineWise? Cool. So we're a new Christchurch startup. We were founded on the 4th of July, which for us is quite a cool date. So, you know, for me it's Independence Day. Get to do my own thing. I'm leaving AdScale as the CEO there to do this. We are currently a team of 5 full-time. We've got Michael Lawson as my co-founder, and a lot of this technology is built on what he has worked on over the past 4 years. And then we've got Torsten, Phil and Cody as developers. And we've also got 2 part-time people whose identity is kept secret for the moment. So look suspiciously at your colleagues, maybe they're working for us. So what do we do?
How can we tell?
You won't know, unless they're not very discreet. So LineWise gives you essentially X-ray vision into your network. So we let you see everything that's happening inside this little harmless RJ45 Ethernet cable. So if you want to know how much of your data cap you've used, we can tell you. If you want to know what your children spend their time on the internet, we can tell you. If you want to know how much time your staff spend on TradeMe during the day, we can tell you. So basically anything that happens on your network, we provide complete visibility over. And the other thing we do is we give you superpowers over your network as well. So if you want to limit people's time on TradeMe to 30 minutes per day, we can do that for you. If you want to say no Wi-Fi for children after bedtime, we can do that for you. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do around getting control over your internet. And it's only getting more and more complex and diverse with all these Wi-Fi devices turning up. So that's essentially our premise. So to give everyone complete visibility and control over their internet connection. Cool, so what do we do? What do we provide? So LineWise provides 2 things. We provide network devices, so we have a variety of those. This is one we put into schools. We don't make the devices, but we make the software that goes on them. So it's built on a firewall called Firewall, which Michael Lawson developed over the past 4 years. And we also provide cloud-based management, which means you can manage all the functionality in this box through a cloud-based website. And the other thing we do is we provide this as a service. So that means for you, no upfront cost, monthly subscription, free installation. So essentially, you're leasing the box, you're paying a monthly subscription, and for that you get all this online visibility and history of what's going on your internet, and the ability to control it. So you can see LineWise can do some pretty cool stuff. And over the past 6 months, we've been working with Burnside High School. So Burnside's the largest school in the South Island. They have 2,500 students, 200 staff, so about 2,700 people co-located on that premises. And they're a very forward-leaning IT school, so they've been supporting BYOD. So BYOD is allowing students to bring their own devices to school, use them in the classroom, and also use them outside of the classroom as well. So they've been doing that, but it's been proving quite challenging for them and quite a lot of overhead for them to manage it. So we've been working with them for about 6 months, putting our product in there and allowing students to bring their devices and seamlessly connect and use the Wi-Fi network, the internet, appropriately. So that means no Facebook during class time, but outside class time is fine, unless you're a counsellor, which means you always have access to Facebook because you need to check in on bullying. It means, no pornography, which is pretty obvious, but really good blocking. So a lot of these existing solutions are quite poor. Any smart student can get around them, whereas we're very, very secure in how we do this. And it also allows them to do it without changing any of their network. So working with them over the 6 months, we've got to the point where our solution is now filtering and looking after essentially the 2,700 people on that premises, and we're putting the control of that into the teacher's hands. So you can limit what they can see during lesson time. So if these are the YouTube videos you're supposed to be watching, then the teacher will, we haven't finished the app yet, but be able to pull out their smartphone and say, right, here's the lesson plan, access the content which is appropriate to that. So that's where we're going with it. Burnside have been really happy with it. We've decided to make schools our first focus. So, and the reason for that is it's really hard. For Burnside, they would be looking at essentially replacing their firewall. Firewalls are very expensive, and there's a whole lot of configuration built into them, and probably 12 years of legacy stuff, and you have to sort of untangle that and replace it, and it's pretty disruptive and it's certainly expensive. So for Burnside, they would be looking at $60,000 to replace their firewall for a firewall that'll cope with 2,700 people. So that's prohibitive, essentially. And these are very smart people at Burnside. They've made their own solution using open source, but they couldn't do the per user filtering that we can do. So we allow schools to do that. We do secure user authentication, so you can authenticate using existing directory services. In the same way they log in at a fixed PC in the classroom, they can now log on using their Wi-Fi device, using the same authentication. We can do Google Docs authentication. We basically multitude ways to identify who the person using the device is. And then we can filter appropriately. So each student is a member of up to 12 or more groups, and each group has access to different content on the intranet and on the internet, and they can manage all that themselves. So, and then of course you've got the visibility of the history for every user. So you can see every user where they've been on their network. So obviously, if you're looking at Facebook bullying or tracking usage on your internet, we can, on a per student basis, say exactly what they've done and block it if you need to, or limit it, ground people from Facebook if they're naughty, all these things are possible. And the other thing is it's really cost effective. So for a school like that, not only is that $60,000 cost, but there's a monthly subscription fee as well. So this is how the telcos like to do these things. So we're aiming to be very disruptive. We go in there as a service. Installation is free. It can be self-installed. If you can unplug one of these, then you can install our product. You don't have to change a single piece of your network configuration. So you can go basically anywhere, order online, put a box in, and you've got visibility into all these things. And so we've decided to focus on schools. We think we can offer some really compelling advantages, especially to schools where most of them don't have dedicated IT resource. They outsource it, and often they get charged for the wrong things. They get upgraded in means they don't need. They spend money in ways they don't understand. Whereas here, you've got a perfectly good functioning network already, and you just want to add support for student devices to it, and we can do that seamlessly and with no upfront cost for schools. So that's going to be our focus. The call to action. So help us be awesomer. I'll give you 3 options. First, we've got a bunch of Surfways for Schools brochures. If you know somebody in a school or has connections to a school, please take a brochure, make sure it gets into the right hands. So we believe we've got a really compelling solution here. we're at Burnside High School, we're at Christchurch Boys High School. Next week we're going to Brookside or something in Rangiora, Southbrook. And Cashmere High School and Cashmere Primary School are lined up as well to try this. So it's a 30-day free trial. If you don't like it, we come back and take the box out, and the school can look elsewhere for a solution. So that's option one. Obviously, a lot of the stuff I've talked about crosses over into other stuff. So our next focus is going to be small businesses. So if you want to stop staff torrenting movies at work on the company expense, or if you know of anybody who wants to do that, point us in their direction, point them in our direction, one of the two, and we'd love to have a chat about them. So that's going to be our next sort of focus. And then, yeah, option three, if you've got any potential ideas for the service or the platform, essentially, because what we are building is a platform. So, there's lots of apps that can be hooked into this. For example, Ministry of Awesome has a co-location suite, so does C-Lab, so does Someplace in Brighton. There's the discussion around casual spaces floating around between them. We could use our product to do time-based billing, and so that the subscription fee paid by the casual user is allocated according to where that person is, based purely on when they sign into Wi-Fi. So we're not going to develop that application, but if someone wants to, that's an example of the kind of things we can do by having this essentially hidden data suddenly made visible. So they are three options. To choose one or all or none, but in the spirit of Ministry of Awesome helping entrepreneurship and innovation in Canterbury, love your support. So thank you very much.
And on their own device, the same thing?
On their own device, then either they can log in, or the IT department or the teacher would say this device belongs to this child.
Oh, so they would have to match it up manually, the device to the child.
Well, these are just choices on what the school has. So if they already have directory systems like Microsoft Active Directory or Novell eDirectory or Google Docs, we can authenticate them. So, and the reason you need to do that is everyone has different access requirements. So a teacher has different access than a student, as does a counsellor. So.
And would, so in terms of privacy, so what a browser history is in the system.
That's right.
And that is visible to certain staff members of the school and completely visible what they've been searching.
Well, it's visible to admin users. So, yeah. Well, I guess from the school's perspective, sharing the internet connection means they have a duty of care towards that student, make sure it's used appropriately. So, it's like the company car. You used to be able to take to the West Coast for a joyride on the weekend, and now you've got a GPS logger in it, and you can't. So you can't even speed anymore. So it's a tool, and it's just making sure that the resource is used appropriately.
And the second question I had, if you got the user history and the way they're using the system, would you be able to push information back to the student or the user based on their behaviour?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of options. If they go to a site which is prohibitive, they can, get informed of that. So the page, rather than the page they intended to go to, a page saying, this is blocked, and then you can have options like, well, submit and proceed, or don't go there, kind of thing. So, we're aiming to have a lot of user feedback. So if your browsing is inhibited in any way, we tell you why, and then it's up to school whether they can say submit and proceed, and then an admin user will say, yes, this is an appropriate website, or it's not. So.
I didn't hear all those questions, but you feel it's okay around people's private rights?
Yes, I mean, that's really a question for the organisation. So we're a tool. How it's used. If you want to capture browsing history, you can do so. If you don't want to capture browsing history, you can do so. So, it's really up to the person using the system how they want to deal with those things.
So spying on somebody without them knowing you're capturing their data, how does that work?
That's what I mean.
Well, there's a user authentication page, and you can inform them as to exactly, by choosing to use this Wi-Fi network. So normally it's going to be someone owns the Wi-Fi, or owns the internet connection, and wants to make sure it's used accordingly. So be that business wanting to make sure their internet access policy is actually enforced. So, you know, no pornography at work, no torrenting movies. You can make that happen. You don't have to capture that data. You can just set those rules, and you don't have to capture the user data.
Don't interrupt. Is that good enough for you? Okay. I just want to, with the Wi-Fi network, can you also monitor traffic between devices on that network, so rather than the internet connection?
Not with our current solution. So we're really focused on installing our product between the existing router and the local network, including the Wi-Fi.
So my use
stations.
case of that is, imagine it's on a cafe and someone malicious goes into the cafe and starts sniffing the Wi-Fi network. Could you monitor that? Could you spot that kind of activities going on?
We've got a patent we're applying for around actually preventing MAC address spoofing. So we've figured out a way to basically stop that kind of attack happening whatsoever. And it seems like that doesn't seem to exist anywhere else at the moment. So, but yeah, I guess it can be a death of a thousand cuts with a startup. So we're really focused on looking at schools. We don't. There's a million things we can do, but I'd rather get schools sorted, and then we can start looking at, well, do we do mesh networks, Wi-Fi mesh networks? Our goal would be to be the last box standing on a premises. So there's no email service anymore. There's no local storage. All there are Wi-Fi devices and a printer, essentially, when you get to a bottom office. And all this can be just done as a service.
How do I know I'm connecting to the actual school Wi-Fi or some kind of fake version of it?
Yes, your teacher tells you what Wi-Fi network to connect to. I argue that's not within our remit. You can connect to whatever you like.
So what's to stop the network harvesting data from your private device once it's connected? Are there any safeguards or protocols or policies in place? So if I open up my device, then you're opening up your whole private world to a network. What's to stop the school or the network owner actually harvesting everything that's on your device?
Well,
is there any consideration given to that? Because I think that's a big
there's a couple of
issue.
ways we address this. So, and one is that the product itself is open source. So this firewall is open source software. So if you're going to be putting software on your edge of your network, you want to know that it's not doing anything malicious. So our product is transparent, open source. You can compile it, use it as you want. When you hook into our management system, there's a subscription fee. So that's one aspect of knowing what that device does. As far as the collecting data, we're in the same boat as every other cloud-based service provider. Xero has all your accounting data. Vend has all your point of sale data. It's a choice whether you use these or not, or whether you'd rather have an on-site solution. So it's a choice.
Yeah, but with a personal device, you might have photos or correspondence or whatever on it.
Oh, we can't pull data off the network.
Right.
It's kind of impossible, unless. So, and again, if you look at the code, there's no code in the box to be able to do that. And there never will be.
How does your system handle the usual suspects of tunnelling and Tor browsers and those other means of getting past those kinds of devices?
So we're not a proxy, so we can't be overloaded by spam requests, and we sit on the line, so we see all the traffic. So we're very secure in comparison to some of the other
So it
solutions.
sounds like you could log on to the system through your device, but if you're using a Tor browser or something like that, you're not going to actually be able to see what...
Well, you could choose to block the Tor network if you wanted, I guess. I haven't looked into that too deeply, but I mean, another option is actually to become a Tor portal. So if you want to use the Tor network, then you can make that choice on a per device, per browser basis and say, when I'm on my iPad, I just want to use normal, internet. When I'm on my laptop, I want all my traffic to go via Tor. It doesn't matter if you're using Firefox or Safari or Chrome or whatever, it would work. So again, these are, we can block ads. Do you want no ads appearing in any of your browsers? So no ads, and we can do that. Again, deciding what we do. But there is, there's dark mail as well. There's lots of things where this could be used as a tool to protect people's privacy. And I'm, very interested in that area of things.
So in option 3, you've got a device connected and you don't know you've got a worm in the system. Would this pick up this activity going on with your connection, you know, little bits of things going behind the scenes.
So now we're talking about what we want to do. So, you know, this is a start, and this is something we need now, and we can sell now, but there's a whole bunch of other services we're going to roll out around this. So we've got Surfwise, we've got TrafficWise, we've got RiskWise, and EdgeWise. And so RiskWise we cover when a mobile device, Android, because they're pretty crappy, comes onto your network and it's got malware installed on it, an application, we can detect that by its network signature and kick that off the network until that application is removed. We can detect when devices are going to known bad sites or transferring data to them, block them and alert the administrator or the user or the home parent. Because in the home we have all the same security challenges as enterprises do, we just can't afford to solve them. And most people aren't even aware of them. So there's some crazy stuff happening. So I've got two crazy stories. One is that it's been found that LG television, smart TV, when you plug your USB into it, it'll transfer all the file names back to LG, unencrypted over the internet, regardless of what settings you have on your TV. So your TV is now spying on you. We can stop that. In Russia, they found a shipment of Chinese irons, like for ironing your clothes. They opened them up and they had embedded Wi-Fi chips in them that would connect to unsecured Wi-Fi networks and starting to infect any vulnerable devices with malware. It's like, you know, these are extreme examples of some of the stuff that we as people are going to experience in our lifetime. So, you know, our hope is to, you know, bring that enterprise level security to, you know, your mum and dad home user so they don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. They just know it's taken care of and they're alerted when things are going untoward.
Cool. We'll just stop there, but thank you very much, and you'll be around for a bit longer?
Yep, so brochures are up here. I've got one business card left. That was one thing I forgot. Yeah, I'll be here, so you have a chat to me. That'd be cool.
Great.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
time.